Hey guys, we need to talk about the Bears coaching search. First of all, thank you so much for the response on the test run, the first video. As you can see, I'm still working on some technical aspects of this podcast, and I have my microphone back. And hopefully the sound quality this time is a little bit better. Came out hot in that first video because one of the things that drives me fucking crazy is seeing people make the same mistakes over and over and over again. Like the old adage, the definition of insanity, I don't think that's actually the definition of insanity. To do things over and over again, I think that's just sort of a figure of speech. But nonetheless, it's fucking stupid to keep doing the same thing wrong over and over again. So with the Bears and their coaching search, you have to ask yourself, what are the things that they've done wrong and how can they fix them? And in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles especially. Now, in the first video, I talked about Kevin Warren being a non-football guy that could be in charge of the coaching search. And him meddling in it has me a little bit concerned. But there actually is a way that he can be a positive influence in this search. And if he does that, I give him all the credit in the world. Look, my job here is tell you what could happen before it happens. So if you hear the rumblings in the media about Mike McCarthy being a viable head coaching option for the Chicago Bears, you know why it's happening. And maybe use your voice, your public pressure, whatever we have. We have no power. Well, we have our voice. That's all we've got. So we can use it to try to make sure that this time the Bears don't fuck this opportunity up. So, Kevin Warren. Now, to understand how he can fix this process, you have to go back to the processes of the past to understand where the Bears have gone wrong. So, Trace Armstrong, a name that I mentioned in the last video, is an agent. Athletes First is his firm. He represents a lot of coaches, players, executives, and he just so happens to be the agent of Matt Nagy, the Bears' last head coach, Luke Getsy, the Bears' last offensive coordinator, Ryan Poles, the Bears' general manager, Matt Eberflus, the Bears' former head coach, and Shane Waldron, the Bears' former offensive coordinator. Now, Trace Armstrong was a former Bears player. He has a really good relationship with ownership, the McCaskies, and he actually almost took a job in the front office back in 2021. So the organization and Armstrong have a very good relationship. So I mentioned in the last video that Ryan Poles took the job a day before Matt Eberflus, and it sounded like, oh, he didn't pick his head coach. I kind of waver on that because it sounds like maybe they were a package deal. We're all speculating at this point, but the timing of that sounds interesting. Now, throw that aside. Let's just go to the offensive coordinator search from this past offseason. When Luke Getsy, Trace Armstrong client, gets fired, the Bears went out and interviewed 9 different potential offensive coordinator candidates. Now, the issue is it's tough to get a high-level offensive coordinator to come in with a coach who is already embattled, where you think, oh, maybe he's going to be fired. And the Bears have a history of firing a coach after a rookie quarterback's rookie season. They did it with Mitchell Trubisky. They did it with Justin Fields. Mitchell Trubisky, they fired John Fox. Justin Fields, they fired Matt Nagy. But they interviewed 9 different people. And on the list, you look and you see Cliff Kingsbury, the Washington Commanders offensive coordinator who was crushing it with Jaden Daniels. You see Clint Kubiak, who is down in New Orleans. Liam Cohen is the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Zach Robinson was on that list. He's in Atlanta. Thomas Brown, of course, who's now the interim head coach. There were some qualified candidates on that list, and they interviewed all of those people. But only one of them was invited back for a second interview, and that was Shane Waldron, a Trace Armstrong client. Then Matt Eberflus gets up in front of the microphone and says, "Oh, we got Shane Waldron, and he's a dynamic leader of men." Not a fucking single person in the NFL said that. Like, if you heard the sources even prior to the year, I remember my coworker Anthony Herron on 670 The Score in the offseason. He was talking to his people. Anthony Herron, former Iowa Hawkeye. He does color commentary on the Big Ten Network for games and has obviously played in the NFL with Detroit Lions and has connections in the NFL. And one of the things that he said in the offseason was Shane Waldron with a rookie quarterback, he's not known as the most take charge guy. And that's going to be a concern going into the year with a rookie quarterback. Like, if he's not keeping this guy on track, if he's not easing him in, keeping the training wheels on until he gets his feet wet, that's a concern. So Matt Eberflus effectively got up in front of the microphone and lied about it. So back to Kevin Warren. So if he goes with a similar process, right? Because I don't think the process in this situation was bad. They interviewed 9 pretty decent candidates, but it didn't result in them hiring the best one. That's all he has to do. All he has to do is say, okay, so what are you looking for, Ryan Poles? What are the attributes? How are we going to whittle this thing down? Is this person the best candidate, regardless of who their fucking agent is? That's all he has to do. Now, it's a tall order, but we're going to find out if he and Ryan Poles now, who's made quite a bit of money for his agent, if both of them are interested in winning at this point or satisfying all of the political forces around the football team. What are going to be the signs that maybe they are making the same mistakes? I'm glad you asked, or I'm glad I asked. There are 2 names out there that are Trace Armstrong clients, that one of which I've mentioned before, and another has close ties to Caleb Williams, and I could see them trying to sell this off as, oh, bringing in his former college coach. Lincoln Riley is a Trace Armstrong candidate, and he's embattled at USC. He may be fired for cause for NCAA violations. I think that would be a terrible choice. He's never been able to get the defense right in LA. I think that people are starting to figure out his offense. He's not going to bring that physical brand of football that you need. And honestly, I know my coworker Lawrence Holmes brought this up on The Score yesterday. If there's a college coach out there that you would be interested in or should be interested in, it would be someone in his own conference, someone on the West Coast, and Dan Lanning at Oregon, who I think would be the best option out of any of the college coaches, because you need somebody who is going to get his team to go out there and play with absolute reckless abandon. And when you watch Oregon, Oregon's not the team of the past with Chip Kelly and LaMichael James and spread it out. And no, they have speed, they have talent. Have you seen their defense? And have you seen how hard Dan Lanning's teams play for him? Whether it's back at Georgia when he was the defensive coordinator under Kirby Smart, or now at Oregon. And oh, by the way, I know he's a defensive coach. Did you see the reclamation project of Bo Nix, where his career was effectively over at Auburn, then went to Oregon and became a first-round pick and one of the better quarterbacks in the country? So Lincoln Riley would be a terrible choice. And then the other one, Mike McCarthy. Now, this one scares me the most because the McCaskies will see Trace Armstrong client, yes man, offensive coach who's won a Super Bowl. Check, 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 check. And if they do that, if Mike McCarthy is the next head coach, that would be the disaster of all disasters. We know what Mike McCarthy is. I think at this point his best days are behind him. I'm not going to besmirch his career. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm talking about right fucking now with Caleb Williams and a roster that is built to win right now with a quarterback on a rookie deal, cap space. Mike McCarthy is absolutely not the guy. So Lincoln Riley, Mike McCarthy, both Trace Armstrong clients. Kevin Warren has the opportunity to change this process, to steer it away from picking someone because of their agent or whatever freaky shit they're doing, to finding the best goddamn candidate. Now, it sounds simple. It's difficult with all the politicking going on behind the scenes, but we're going to find out together if he's able to do it. And if he is, like I said, I'll give him credit.